She thought her reflection had faded forever, that time had quietly stolen what made her feel alive. But one night changed everything. One night of stillness, of surrender, of listening to a voice that reminded her of something deeper than beauty itself. For years she had tried to love herself through mirrors, creams, and words that promised renewal, but nothing touched the silence beneath her skin. Tonight, that silence awakens. It begins in the breath, slow, tender, ancient, the kind of breath that carries memory, because every cell remembers. Every cell has witnessed every moment she ever doubted herself, every tear that told her she wasn't enough. Every morning she looked at the mirror and forgot the woman looking back. Yet beneath that forgetting, her body never stopped knowing who she truly was. The skin, the heart, the breath, they never gave up. They were waiting for her return. What if it only takes one night? One night to remember that beauty is not something to chase, but something to release. The world told her that youth was a race against time, but time was never the enemy. Time was only the mirror, and the mirror only reflects what she chooses to see. Tonight, as she closes her eyes, she is not sleeping. She is returning. Returning to the first moment her soul knew it was worthy. Returning to the gentle rhythm of her heartbeat when she was untouched by comparison. In this quiet, her face softens, her breath deepens, and something ancient begins to rise from within. They say that, long ago, women would gather under the moonlight, not to pray for beauty, but to remember it. They believed that beauty was an echo of harmony, that when the mind and body remembered their rhythm, the skin followed. The same rhythm lives within her now. She can feel it like a soft current moving through her, warming every forgotten part of her body. She doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't have to force her mind to believe. She only has to listen. Every inhale is renewal, every exhale is release. The stress that once clung to her temples dissolves. The muscles of her face, once tight with stories of fear, begin to open. The tiny muscles around her eyes, those that have held back years of emotion, now rest. They no longer need to guard her from the world. Her body is safe. Her beauty is safe. Her worth is safe. Even the deepest wrinkles begin to feel like soft rivers of memory. They no longer represent loss, but wisdom. They are not lines of time. They are paths of experience. What if the secret of youth was never in fighting aging, but in befriending it? What if softness was the true form of strength? The night whispers, yes. As her mind drifts, she feels her skin absorbing peace, her cells drinking quiet. Somewhere in the stillness between heartbeats, the body begins its sacred work. Collagen fibers repair not because of a product, but because of peace. Hormones of healing flow not because of effort, but because of rest. The body listens to love like a melody. When it feels loved, it renews. When it feels safe, it glows. This is the science of the soul. No cream can replace it. No mirror can define it. It is the secret the ancients carried without needing to explain. That self-love is not an emotion, but a frequency. And tonight, that frequency hums softly within her. The mind slows. The chatter fades. The old stories begin to dissolve like ink in water. The fear of time losing her beauty drifts away like smoke. What remains is essence. Timeless, untouched, luminous essence. Every night she forgot to love herself. Her body still worked quietly, mending, renewing, forgiving. The human body never stops trying. Even when the mind gives up, the body continues. Tonight, they reunite, the heart and the skin, the breath and the belief. It feels like coming home after years of being lost. In the darkness, there is light. In stillness, there is movement. The night becomes her cocoon. The body becomes her sanctuary. She is no longer trying to look younger. She is remembering how it feels to be alive. And that is far more radiant than any youth. As she rests deeper, she feels warmth move up her neck into her cheeks and over her eyelids. It is not a dream. It is her nervous system returning to peace. When the body enters trust, the cells unlock. Renewal begins. That is why one night can equal a week of self-love, because love collapses time. When she loves herself, her body moves faster toward balance. When she forgives herself, energy flows where it was once trapped. What she thought was aging was only the weight of unspoken thoughts. What she thought was loss was only disconnection. Tonight she reconnects, and everything changes. She doesn't need to visualize light or repeat mantras. Her breath is enough. Her awareness is enough. Her stillness is the ritual. As the night deepens, she remembers that she is made of cycles, the same moon that wanes and waxes, the same tides that rise and fall. There is no decay, only transformation. The cells shed, renew, and evolve. Every night she sleeps, her body becomes new. What if she could feel that happening now? The tingling in her fingers, the slow rhythm in her chest. That is the pulse of life rewriting itself. That is self-love made visible. Even her thoughts soften. She no longer tries to control them. They pass like clouds and she lets them go. Her worth was never in her reflection. It was always in her awareness. The woman she once was and the woman she is becoming meet in this single moment. They embrace in silence. There is no tension between them, only understanding. She finally sees that every wrinkle, every gray strand, every sigh was part of her evolution toward grace. She no longer resists time. She partners with it. She whispers to her own reflection, not in words, but in feeling, "Thank you for staying. Thank you for still believing. Thank you for remembering." The energy around her shifts, her skin, her heart, her breath, all in harmony. The night continues its quiet work, weaving beauty through her cells, reawakening the rhythm of renewal. Tomorrow she will wake lighter, calmer, clearer, not because of magic, but because she remembered that she is the magic, and the body, grateful for her belief, will show it, not just in her skin but in her presence. She will move differently, speak differently, glow differently, because the moment a woman remembers her worth, the universe rearranges around her. She doesn't chase beauty, she becomes the source of it, and tonight is the beginning. She drifts further into sleep, but it no longer feels like sleep. It feels like surrender. The space between her thoughts expands, and she enters the sacred place where miracles happen without effort. That is where her renewal begins, beyond control, beyond time, beyond the surface. The body knows, the night knows, and now she knows too. One night, one awakening, one return to herself. Somewhere in the rhythm of her breathing, the night begins to sing. It is not a song of sound, but of silence, the kind that hums beneath thought, beneath fear, beneath everything she once believed about beauty. She drifts between wakefulness and sleep, and the body listens. It listens to every thought, every pause, every wave of softness she allows. And when the body listens, it begins to change. Because the body is not a machine, it is a garden. Whatever is planted in the quiet hours of night will grow in the light of morning. Tonight, she plants only peace. She no longer tells herself what to fix or what to hide. She only whispers in her heart, "I am ready to remember." And with that single thought, her energy shifts. The breath deepens, the nervous system unwinds, and a warmth spreads through her, from the soles of her feet to the crown of her head. It feels like light, but it is more than that. It is forgiveness. Forgiveness for every year she thought she had to be someone else to be beautiful. Forgiveness for every mirror she avoided. Forgiveness for every night she looked at her reflection and forgot that she was made of starlight and memory. The body hears forgiveness as freedom, and freedom heals faster than anything. Scientists call it relaxation. Healers call it energy flow, but the truth is simpler. Love returns. Her heart beats with a different rhythm now, slower, fuller, wiser. Each pulse sends a message. You are safe. You are loved. You are home. That safety allows the body to repair what stress once broke. The skin receives more oxygen. The cells release old toxins. The blood flows with clarity. Even her thoughts begin to feel softer, lighter. The lines that once marked exhaustion now mark resilience. She doesn't see them, but the energy of renewal is already weaving through her, invisible but real. In ancient Japan, women would whisper to the moon before sleep, believing that the light of their words would travel into their dreams and cleanse the soul. They believed the moonlight carried renewal, not through effort, but through reflection. The moon does nothing but reflect the sun, yet the world calls it luminous. So too with her. She doesn't need to create beauty, she only needs to reflect what is already within. Her inner light, once hidden beneath layers of doubt, begins to rise. It shines softly beneath her closed eyelids, reaching the deepest parts of her body that had forgotten warmth. There, something begins to wake. A memory, a power, a knowing. The memory of her first smile, the power of her first self-belief, the knowing that her beauty was never lost, only sleeping. The night becomes her healer. Her dreams become her allies. Each image that passes through her mind releases another weight, another old belief that no longer serves her. She dreams of water flowing, of petals opening, of stars turning endlessly in the sky. Her mind tries to make sense of it, but it doesn't have to. The soul understands. The body translates dreams into chemistry. The subconscious sends signals of safety, and the cells respond. The repair deepens. The renewal quickens. The more she surrenders, the faster she heals. This is not imagination. This is biology in harmony with faith. The nervous system, once tuned to survive, now tunes to thrive. The cortisol fades, the oxytocin rises, and the body remembers how to love itself. This is the night of remembering. Not remembering facts, but remembering truth. She is not her reflection. She is the light behind it. She is not her years. She is the timeless awareness that has watched every sunrise since she was born. The idea that beauty fades becomes laughable when she realizes that energy never fades, it only transforms. Tonight her energy becomes clear again. The clutter of stress, guilt, and comparison burns away like fog at dawn. What remains is stillness, and stillness is the birthplace of renewal. The ancient Egyptians believed that sleep was the closest one could come to the divine. In sleep, the body met the gods of restoration. They anointed their faces with oils not for vanity, but to remind the spirit of its sacred nature. Every culture that remembered the sacred feminine understood one truth. Beauty is not skin deep, it is soul deep. It radiates outward, not inward. And now, lying in her own modern temple, the quiet of her room, she becomes one of those women again. A guardian of an ancient lineage of self-love. She doesn't need a ritual or an oil to claim it. Her awareness is the anointment. Every cell hears it. Every breath repeats it. You are holy. You are enough. You are becoming. The body listens. The mind rests. The skin glows. Even the smallest details of her physiology respond to this truth. The heartbeat steadies. The immune system strengthens. The mind's waves slow into perfect harmony. It is all connected, the science of peace and the mystery of the soul, and it all begins with remembering. She remembers who she is, a being of renewal, of grace, of infinite beauty. The tension that once lived in her shoulders releases, her jaw relaxes, her brow smooths. Every part of her that carried the weight of pretending begins to rest, pretending to be strong, pretending to be young, pretending to be perfect. None of that was ever necessary. Her power was never in appearance, it was in presence, and presence returns through surrender. The night is deep now. The sounds around her fade until there is only the heartbeat and the breath. She becomes rhythm itself. Inhale, exhale, rise, fall. Within that rhythm, her cells dance. They remember the pulse of creation, the same pattern that beats in the ocean, in the stars, in the womb of life itself. She is not apart from nature. She is nature remembering itself. The earth turns, the moon glows, and she sleeps, all synchronized in one perfect flow. There is no aging here. There is only evolution. She is not losing anything. She is unfolding. The years have carved wisdom, not weariness. The body, now flooded with peace, begins its deepest renewal. This is the point where sleep becomes sacred, where one night can equal a week of love. Because love multiplies in silence. What is sown tonight will blossom tomorrow. Her subconscious now carries new instructions, not from fear, but from faith. Her beauty does not need proof. Her worth does not need validation. Her renewal does not need time. All it needs is this moment. this breath, this surrender. She is glowing even now, though she does not see it. Her energy field expands, her frequency rises, and the cells hum like soft music. The transformation is not loud, it is graceful. And by morning, the world will feel different because she will feel different. The reflection will change because the perception has changed, and when she opens her eyes, the mirror will not show something new, it will show something true. The woman who never disappeared, only waited for her return. One night of remembering, 1 week of renewal, 1 lifetime of love beginning again. The body sleeps, but the soul awakens. Deep beneath the surface of dreams, something begins to move, a quiet unfolding like petals meeting light for the first time. It is not the light of morning, but the inner light that never fades. The same light she once saw in others and forgot was also hers. The same energy that once made her skin glow without effort, her laughter rise without fear, her eyes shine without reason. That energy was never gone. It was waiting beneath layers of hurry, worry, and noise. Tonight the noise is gone, the breath is steady, the silence is deep, and the forgotten parts of her begin to return, not as memories but as presence. She can feel her body humming softly, like the earth under spring rain. It is the sound of renewal. It is the sound of life remembering its rhythm. No one taught her that love itself repairs, that tenderness, not pressure, not control, is what restores the harmony of the body. She was taught to push, to fix, to improve, but never to soften. And yet, softness is the secret, because the body cannot heal in war. It heals in peace. Tonight she offers peace. She stops trying to win against time. She lets time hold her instead. In this surrender, her body exhales for the first time in years. The cells that once tightened in fear begin to open like tiny flowers at dusk. Each cell receives the message, she has returned. The mind no longer fights. The heart no longer hides. The spirit no longer waits. Together they breathe, one rhythm, one harmony, one truth. Renewal begins here. Ancient women knew this. They didn't chase beauty. They created space for it to breathe. In the quiet of their huts, under the light of oil lamps or the shimmer of the moon, they would close their eyes and trust the night. They believed the night was a mother, soft, endless, forgiving, and that she would cradle their weariness and return them radiant. Tonight, she is held by that same night. It wraps around her like silk, invisible but real. She feels weightless, yet deeply grounded. The boundaries between her and the world fade. She is not lying in a room. She is floating in creation. Every sound, every vibration of the universe moves through her. The pulse of the stars, the whisper of oceans, the silence of mountains, they are all within her now. The body recognizes this unity. The skin tingles, the blood warms, the heart smiles in its quiet way. The energy that once drained outward begins to return inward, circling her like a current of light. That is the secret of beauty. Circulation. Not of blood alone, but of love. When love circulates, the face glows. When gratitude circulates, the eyes brighten. When peace circulates, the whole body becomes luminous. The modern world forgot this. It taught women to add more products, more effort, more struggle. But true beauty is subtraction. Subtract what hurts. Subtract what feels false. Subtract what drains. What remains after that is purity, the essence that has always been beautiful. She realizes this now, not as a thought, but as a feeling. Her mind drifts, but her awareness expands. She senses her body working, each organ performing its miracle. The liver cleansing, the lungs sighing, the heart conducting its rhythm. It's not mechanical, it's musical. The symphony of self-love. And she is both the listener and the composer. In this harmony, she feels herself reborn. The concept of age dissolves entirely. Age was never the number. It was the story. And stories can change. Tonight, she writes a new one. A story of calm, faith, and grace. She doesn't wish to be younger. She wishes to be whole. And wholeness is the most radiant state of all. Somewhere between breath and dream, her inner voice returns. The one she silenced long ago. It doesn't speak in words, but in knowing. It tells her, "You have always been enough." It tells her, "Your softness is your power." It tells her, "Every night is a new beginning." These are not affirmations. They are truths written in her cells. The body nods in agreement. The hormones of youth, those that once faded with stress, rise again. Not because of magic, but because the inner war has ended. Peace is the greatest rejuvenator. She feels it now, like warmth spreading through her chest. It radiates outward, through her arms, through her face, until her whole being feels illuminated from within. This is what the ancients meant by the inner fire, not passion, but balance. A fire that does not burn, only warms. A fire that purifies without pain. The soft rebirth continues. Her dreams now carry symbols of transformation. Light touching water, a mirror dissolving, a flower blooming in the dark. Each image is a message from her subconscious. You are changing, you are remembering, you are becoming. She doesn't try to interpret them. She doesn't have to. The change is already happening. The brain waves slow to the deepest frequency, where the mind no longer resists the wisdom of the body. Here everything aligns: hormones, breath, energy, faith. The healing becomes complete. One night in this state equals many days of effort, because effort cannot compete with surrender. Surrender is acceleration. It is the fast path to harmony, because it carries no resistance. Her entire being moves into coherence, and coherence is beauty. It's the invisible geometry of peace expressed through skin, eyes, and presence. That is why some women glow without explanation. Their systems are in harmony. Their energy is whole. She is becoming one of them again, not because of vanity, but because she has remembered her natural rhythm. The rhythm of creation, of moon, of tide, of breath. Everything softens inside her. Even her memories are being rewritten. The pain once etched into her mind becomes understanding. The regret once heavy in her heart becomes gentleness. The self-criticism once sharp as glass becomes compassion. Every emotion transforms into light. That is the alchemy of self-love, turning what once hurt into what now heals. The past does not vanish, it becomes nectar. She can feel it, a sweetness rising in her chest, filling her entire being. Her lips part slightly in sleep, her breath like prayer. The room is still, but within her galaxies move. Beauty is returning not as appearance, but as essence. When she wakes, she won't only see it, others will feel it. The world will sense her new frequency before she says a word, because true beauty does not speak, it radiates. Her rebirth is almost complete. She drifts deeper into the realm where time loses meaning, where healing happens faster than thought. The night continues to cradle her, endlessly patient, endlessly kind. One night equals 1 week of love, because love multiplies in stillness. It needs no clock, no logic, no reason. It simply expands, and it expands within her now, like dawn behind closed eyes. She is not dreaming. She is transforming. Every breath rewrites her story. Every heartbeat reclaims her youth. Every moment of surrender restores her glow. The soft rebirth has begun, and there is no turning back. There is a moment in every deep sleep when time stops feeling linear and begins to feel like a circle, a quiet loop of energy where past, present, and future blend into one soft glow, and she is resting right inside that glow now. What she once believed needed weeks of effort, routines, and discipline is being woven into a single, concentrated night of love. It is not because the hours are longer, but because her resistance is gone. Without resistance, healing moves faster. Without doubt, renewal flows more freely. The body no longer spends energy fighting old fears. It spends it building new light. Inside this sacred pause where the mind rests and the spirit breathes, it is as if 7 days of care, nurturing, and gentle rituals are pouring themselves into her in one continuous stream. Every heartbeat becomes a blessing. Every slow breath becomes a caress to her nervous system. The cells respond as if they were being wrapped again and again in waves of reassurance. This is what a week of self-love feels like when compressed into one night. Not dramatic, not loud, but deeply faithful. The kind of faith that whispers that nothing has been wasted, that every tear, every sleepless moment, Every doubt has brought her to this exact point where she finally allows herself to be held. Long ago, in quiet desert nights, women in African villages would sit under the moon and imagine the light pouring into their skin, not as vanity, but as prayer. They believed that the moonlight soaked into their faces and reminded their bodies of balance. The real transformation, though, happened in what they felt, not in what they saw. They believed they were worthy of care, worthy of renewal, worthy of softness. Their bodies listened, the lines of worry softened, the tension in their shoulders eased, and they carried a glow that came from being in harmony with themselves. Tonight, she joins them in spirit. She may not be sitting under a visible moon, yet the same quiet radiance is entering her cells. Her belief in her own worth is the light now. What if her body has been waiting for this level of trust her whole life? What if it only needed one night where she chose to stop judging herself and simply allowed love to sink in? The body is not counting hours the way the mind does. It measures healing in openness. The more open she is to love, the more deeply the body repairs. That is why this single night can hold the weight of many days. Her subconscious receives new instructions in a language older than words. Be gentle. Be kind. Be whole. These instructions touch every part of her system, from her heartbeat to her hormones, from her immune cells to the tiny muscles of her face. The stress patterns that once repeated day after day begin to dissolve. The muscles that once stayed tight even in sleep finally let go. Her face rests differently. Her jaw unclenches. Her brow smooths, not in forced relaxation, but in genuine peace. That peace is a gift she has given herself. This is the miracle no expert can fully explain, the quiet science beneath the mystery. When a woman chooses to love herself, her entire biology recalibrates. The signals of danger that once flooded her system ease. The signals of safety rise. Safety invites repair. Repair invites renewal. Renewal invites radiance. It is like a sacred ladder of beauty, built from the inside out, one breath at a time. Tonight she has climbed far without effort, carried by the current of surrender. Her dreams continue to unfold, each one like a page of an old book being rewritten. Instead of reliving moments of fear or disappointment, her inner world now offers symbols of release. She might feel herself walking through a soft garden, or floating above an endless ocean, or simply resting in a space of light with no form at all. These are not stories her conscious mind controls, but they leave their imprint nonetheless. The emotions tied to old memories are washing clean. The sharp edge of self-criticism is dulling into compassion. Even the times she felt she failed her own body are being washed in forgiveness. How often did she look at herself and think she should have taken better care, started earlier, done more? Those thoughts once carved heavy impressions in her energy field, but tonight they are fading like distant echoes. In their place rises a gentler understanding. She did the best she could with what she knew then, and now she knows more. Now she understands that the most powerful ritual is not a product or a routine, but the simple choice to return to herself with kindness. Every time she breathes, she is choosing again. Every exhale is an agreement with life that says, I release what no longer serves me. Every inhale is an agreement that says, I welcome what heals. In this sacred repetition, the night becomes a ceremony. Without candles, without incense, without words, it is still as holy as any temple. Her bed becomes an altar of rest. Her body becomes the sacred object of devotion. She is no longer seeking an external blessing. She is discovering that she has always been the blessing. What if this is what it means to be truly beautiful? To recognize that the light she once begged the world to give her was always inside. The week that once felt scattered across busy days, half-finished rituals, and hurried thoughts is now gathered into a single, complete circle of love. Each hour of this night carries the emotional weight of a day where she would have spoken to herself with patience, nourished herself in silence, and rested without guilt. Guilt has no place here. This night is free of all expectation. There is nothing to perform, nothing to prove, nothing to fix. The absence of pressure is itself a medicine. It reaches into the most hidden parts of her body, where stress used to hide, and begins to melt it from the inside out. In ancient temples of Egypt, Women believed that the night was when the soul traveled to drink from hidden rivers of light. They prepared for sleep like one would prepare for a journey, not to escape, but to return with more of themselves. They did not fear the passing years because they saw themselves as part of a continuous cycle between earth and sky, youth and age, rising and resting. Tonight, she aligns with that same wisdom. Her soul is drinking quietly from its own hidden river, invisible yet powerful. By the time dawn whispers toward the horizon, she will not be a different person, but a clearer version of herself. Clarity is its own form of beauty, clarity about what truly matters, about which thoughts are worth believing, about which stories are ready to be released. In that clarity, the face softens into authenticity. Authenticity glows more brightly than any cosmetic shine. The remarkable thing about this night is how effortless it feels. The work is deep, but it does not feel like work. She does not have to hold any specific image, repeat any exact phrase, or force herself into a certain state. The softness of her intention is enough. She chose to listen. She chose to lie down in trust. She chose to let the night become a healing space instead of another stretch of worry. The body responds to those choices with gratitude. Gratitude, too, has a biology. It widens the chest, eases the breath, steadies the heart. In that steady rhythm, her inner systems synchronize like dancers moving in perfect unison. When everything inside her moves together, nothing feels fragmented. Fragmentation is what made her feel tired, pulled in many directions at once. Unity, even for one night, renews her in ways that echo through the coming days. One night of unity is worth a week of scattered effort. As the hours drift by, her energy continues to reorganize. Old emotional knots loosen. Old disappointments find their place and rest. The younger selves she once abandoned in memory come back and settle into her heart. She may not see them, but she can feel the quiet fullness building inside her, as if empty rooms are being filled with gentle light. This fullness is what she has been seeking all along, through every external attempt at feeling better. The sense that she is complete, regardless of age, regardless of standard, regardless of opinion. Completion has a way of reflecting in the skin. The face of a woman who feels whole carries a softness that cannot be faked, a calm that cannot be imitated. That is what this night is giving her. Not perfection, but wholeness. Not a mask, but authenticity. Not a promise against aging, but a new relationship with it. One where every year adds depth to her beauty, instead of subtracting from it. As she sleeps, her future mornings are quietly being rewritten. The way she will look at herself after this night will be different. She will not scan for flaws first. She will notice the calm in her own eyes, the quiet power in her expression, the subtle glow of someone who has decided to be on her own side. It may feel like a small change, but that single shift in focus has the strength of 1,000 rituals combined, because where attention goes, energy flows. If she wakes and first sees what is soft, kind, and alive in her, then her whole day will follow that energy. The world will reflect it back to her again and again, and all of that begins here, in this one night, where she has allowed herself to be loved from the inside out. The night holds her until the very edge of dawn, pouring into her the equivalent of days of attention, days of care, days of devotion. What she once thought she did not have time for is happening now beyond time. Her soul, her body, her energy field are all drinking from the same source of renewal. And as this deep cycle nears its completion, one truth becomes clear in the quiet of her being. She was never behind, never late, never lacking. She is right on time for her own rebirth. One night, 1 week of love condensed, one heart rediscovering its own glow. Somewhere beyond dreaming, the first light of dawn begins to breathe through the edges of night, and within her, something ancient stirs, the awareness that she has crossed a threshold. She does not wake all at once. She rises the way a flower opens to the morning, slowly, gracefully, without effort. The world outside may not have changed, but within her, the geometry of energy is different. The woman who fell asleep carrying the weight of comparison, the tension of years, the noise of self-doubt has dissolved into something lighter. What remains is a quiet confidence, the kind that does not seek proof. She does not rush to the mirror. She does not even need to. She can feel the change before seeing it, the calm in her breath, the stillness behind her thoughts, the gentle ease that moves through her. These are signs of the renewal she invited. It is subtle but profound. The heart feels spacious, the mind feels clear, the skin feels alive beneath her fingertips. This is what one night of true self-love feels like, not an explosion, but a return. A remembering that she is nature, that her cycles of rest and renewal are sacred, that nothing about her was ever broken. The beauty she feels now is not something she achieved, it is something she remembered. The same softness that once defined her youth has returned, not to imitate the past, but to integrate it. Her beauty now has depth. It carries the wisdom of her years, the strength of her survival, and the tenderness of her rediscovered self-worth. That is the glow people notice, not the surface, but the soul shining through the skin. As the light shifts across her face, she realizes how peaceful the world looks when seen through calm eyes. There is no rush, no anxiety about what must be done. The to-do lists that once ruled her mornings feel distant, almost irrelevant, compared to the fullness of this presence. She has become the kind of woman who carries morning within her, even at night. The kind of woman whose silence speaks louder than words, whose gentleness disarms chaos, whose peace restores the spaces around her. That is the real meaning of beauty, not admiration, but harmony. The night taught her that harmony begins inside. She remembers how she once chased validation, how she used to measure her worth by reflections and reactions. Now, those measures seem fragile compared to this steady, luminous knowing. No one can give or take away what she has found. It belongs to her the way breath belongs to life. She smiles softly, a smile that feels like sunrise, and something in the room seems to brighten with her. The world responds to her frequency. The same air that once felt heavy now feels full of light. The same thoughts that once carried doubt now carry gratitude. She realizes that gratitude itself is a kind of beauty, invisible but magnetic. It shapes the way she moves, the way she speaks, the way she loves. Everything that used to feel like effort now feels like flow. She doesn't need to repeat affirmations because her energy has become one. Every gesture, every breath, every glance is an affirmation. I am whole, I am enough, I am radiant. She no longer chases youth, she embodies vitality. Vitality is not measured in years, but in openness, the willingness to keep loving life despite its seasons, and she is open now, fully, beautifully open. The small aches that once felt like burdens now feel like reminders that she is alive, present, evolving. The mirror, when she finally glances at it, no longer intimidates her. It feels like an old friend. She sees herself with gentleness, and in that gentleness, the reflection transforms. The eyes shine clearer. The skin looks warmer. The entire face carries a softness that cannot be faked because it comes from peace. That peace radiates through every detail of her being. Even her movements feel slower, more deliberate, more aligned. The way she touches her face, the way she stands, the way she breathes, everything carries the signature of someone who knows her worth. This is the result of one night of remembering. It is not the end, but the beginning of a new rhythm. Each night from now on can be another step deeper into herself, another return to that sacred frequency of love. She understands now that beauty is a relationship between the body and the soul, between rest and renewal, between intention and surrender. It cannot be forced. It must be invited. And tonight, she invited it with all her heart. The results will continue to unfold in ways she cannot yet imagine, not only in her skin but in her energy, her presence, her interactions. People will notice something in her they cannot quite name, a serenity that makes them feel safe. She will notice how easily life begins to cooperate when she stops fighting herself. She will notice how effortlessly the right experiences, the right conversations, the right opportunities flow toward her when she lives from love instead of lack. This is the secret hidden inside all great transformations. The moment a woman believes she is already whole, the world rearranges itself to match that belief. The universe mirrors certainty, and her certainty tonight is quiet but absolute. She is beautiful because she is at peace. As this realization settles, she feels gratitude bloom in her chest, expanding until it fills the room. Gratitude for the body that has carried her through every chapter. Gratitude for the wrinkles that mark her laughter. Gratitude for the softness that life has taught her. Gratitude for the night that returned her to herself. She no longer seeks miracles because she has realized she is one. Her body is a miracle of renewal. Her mind is a miracle of creation. Her heart is a miracle of forgiveness. The world outside her window brightens, but the real sunrise is happening inside. The night did not simply pass, it transformed. The old cycles of exhaustion have been replaced with cycles of restoration. The patterns of self-criticism have been rewritten into songs of compassion. She is proof that healing does not have to be hard, it only has to be honest. The honesty of saying, I am tired. The honesty of saying, I want to love myself again. The honesty of surrendering control long enough for peace to enter. That honesty has opened the door to everything she ever sought. Now she knows that one night of deep love can ripple into a week of calm, a month of confidence, a lifetime of self-respect. Every woman who listens, who dares to close her eyes and believe again, can feel this same renewal. There is no secret serum, no unreachable ritual, only this truth. The night listens when you speak kindly to yourself. It carries your words into your cells, your forgiveness into your chemistry, your love into your life. She whispers to herself, not out loud but in spirit, thank you for remembering me. Thank you for coming home. And in that whisper, the cycle completes. The breath softens again. The energy settles like golden dust after light. She is reborn, but not into someone new, into herself, pure and unguarded. The mirror will never again hold power over her because she finally understands that she was never the reflection. She was always the light that made it possible. The night bows to her with grace, as if proud of what she has reclaimed, and she smiles knowing she will never forget this softness again. She carries it with her, through the day, through the years, through every season of her becoming. One night of love, 1 week of renewal, 1 lifetime awakened. If this night ritual touched your heart, imagine what the next secret will do. Subscribe and awaken your most radiant self. Every night is a new chance to be reborn, softer, brighter, younger. Sleep deeply and let your beauty remember who you are.